Do you feel that? That's the feel of another joint discussion.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Lauren Wild. I'm one of the co-hosts here on Joint Discussions Pod, here with my other half, my lovely, wonderful partner, James Mummert.
Hello, hello. Baby girl, this is episode number 12.
I know. I think it's funny that we keep celebrating like every single episode number.
Well, we should celebrate every single episode number. Episode 12 means with a weekly release that we have now been podcasting joint discussions for 3 months.
Yeah, that is
Which
exciting.
does feel like a little bit of a milestone. That's a quarter of a year that we've decided to do joint discussions. And honestly, it's been a lot of fun, and we've learned a lot of things in just these first couple months.
Yeah. Also, important to shout out, we got our very first Patreon subscriber today. So whoop, whoop, shout out.
Welcome, Lisa, to the Patreon community. We're so glad to have you. Can't wait for you to have some friends. So if you haven't seen us on social medias, you can check us out at Joint Discussions Pod. It's the same way you can find us on Patreon as well, and join Lisa in seeing some of the behind the scenes that we actually now have to post since we have a community.
Yep.
So even if it's a community of one, we care about you so much. So thank you. It's just been an insane fucking week. I feel like sometimes we always say that.
It really was,
If
though.
we were to trace back in this week,
It's really been 2 weeks.
it feels like it.
Well, no, it is. And if for those of you guys who might just be joining us as listeners, first of all, welcome. The second is we have our kids 50% of the time for 7 days straight. And that is a total of 6 kids, but we have 5 of them all the time. They're all little teenagers and little twats a large amount of the time. We love them, but also teenagers are assholes, which we are learning very quickly. But we only record on the weeks that we don't have our kids, which is every other week. So I feel like every time we come back, they've just left and we've got so much raw content that we're trying to not just process of like what feels appropriate to share, but also we're still metabolizing the intensity of that kid week we just had every time we record.
Just to even take you back to how this prior week with kids had started, you had bought some tickets.
Oh my God. We're really going to start there?
We have to.
Well,
That's
there's
how we
more
started.
going on even before that, though, because
Okay, I'll let you do that then. What you got? And then we'll just put a little peg in this concert ticket story because
Yeah.
it's pretty freaking good.
yeah. And you handled it like a champ.
Well, no spoilers.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, that's not going to spoil it, babe. It's just you did great. Just pre-warning everyone how great you are. I'm a solo entrepreneur, so I do a lot of things. And now I happen to have my incredible partner to do so much of my audio work, like podcast and stuff. But beyond that, I do a lot of things. And I need my weeks that we don't have the kids to get a lot of things done. That's when I do a lot of my bigger tasks for work. The week before last, I was leading a retreat. So my entire week was devoted to preparing for the retreat, running the retreat, recovering from the retreat. And I got sick on retreat, came home super duper sick, and knew I was about to have a procedure that I needed to not be sick for. I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, so it had been an already very stressful week with your retreat. You knew you had this medical procedure coming up as well. So I just knew you were already going to be exhausted. In fact, I didn't even need to know. You told me ahead of time, James, I'm going to be fucking exhausted. I'm going to be running a retreat, which is extremely high energy and high emotion. I got to be able to get into tap into those resources. I am with my medical procedure coming up early in the week. I have this concert that I bought tickets for months and months and months ago, like back in December.
Mm-hmm.
It's this concert. One of our kids' favorite bands is AJR,
Yeah.
who I had never heard of. even though I knew of one song once you said the song, but I didn't know that was AJR.
Which one? Was it
I don't even know at this point.
Bang, Bang, Bang? There's also Burn the House Down. There's so many AJR. I actually love AJR. They're great performers too.
Yeah, and we had actually flip-flopped between you going, me going, you going, me going, and then it came down to it. Okay, I am taking the youngest who lives with us and his sibling. We're going to go to AJR in Cincinnati. They're in Cincinnati, Ohio. And it was a Sunday. I was a little concerned too because it was a Bengal game. They were at home as well, but they played in the early afternoon, so traffic wasn't as much of an issue. But I would say the concert, I'm using a quote now, the concert in quotes was slated to begin at 7 p.m. Now, I remember maybe like a month ago or something. It was within a recent time. But I remember saying when you had talked about this concert and even like reminding me about the retreat, I remember looking at the ticket and saying, oh, that's weird. There's like a comedian that's headlining this or something then, right? And you were like, yeah. And you gave an explanation and I don't even remember what it was, to be honest.
Well, AJR are like different kinds of musicians. They bring a lot of different kinds of media to their concerts that are not just like, their warm-up act. They bring like circus performers sometimes. Like they bring people with them. So that's the only reason I even thought that.
Well, then that totally checks out. You don't know whether you're getting circus performer or stand-up comedian or whatever. So I didn't think anything of it because I didn't look at tickets or anything. I just kind of Googled and saw. No, I didn't even Google. I did look at your tickets, but it said Nate Bargatze, and I just don't know why. That's who the comedian was, Nate Bargatze.
I never even heard of him.
Well, see, I had heard of Nate Bargatze, but I had not really thought about AJR. So I was like, cool, I'm at least going to get to see a comedian that I like.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's Sunday, and it's probably about 4:30 p.m. You are exhausted. We are getting ready to need to leave for this concert in Cincinnati, get dinner, take the boys out, get ready for everything. And I'm like, honey, I know you're just like passed the fuck out. You were in bed.
I don't even remember this conversation.
I said, honey, and I had to charge your phone because it was laying on the bed and not on the charger. So I was trying to get into your phone to get the Ticketmaster link so that I could have them on my phone. And I didn't know your password. So I had to wake you up. I said, hey, you're telling me to speed this up. Okay. Long story short, maybe it's just because you feel a little uncomfortable about me talking about this funny blunder, is that she fucking bought tickets for Nate Bargatze. There was no AJR in Cincinnati. There is no AJR in the month of November, even in the whole world. In fact, they don't start retouring until December of this year. Oh. So what do you do in a blended family? Pop quiz. What do you do when you're in a blended family and you have kids that are supposed to go to a concert that they think is for their favorite fucking artist, and actually in reality there is no concert? Did you answer yet? I mean, what?
I was there. Are you asking me to answer?
I'm not asking you to answer. I'm asking people to consider, like, what do you have to do? Well, people, I had to lie. I had to lie. Lauren was still passed out upstairs.
I was sick.
I said, you were sick. And we were concerned that if you were too sick from this thing that you were going through, that what you needed to go through wouldn't even happen, because if you're sick, they won't let you do it.
Yeah.
So I just said, okay, I gotta handle it. Now, one of our friends who was in for the retreat.
Yeah. Shout out Ash.
She had, and her and I was like spitballing. I was like, what the fuck do I do, Ash? And she was like, I don't know. Like, maybe you can say they got sick. And I was like, well, okay, yeah, that's a thought. And so I took that and I ran with it.
Yep.
What I did is I took the boys out. They wanted to go to Raising Cane's. I was all too happy to go to Raising Cane's.
I didn't even know any of this.
Of course.
I'm just now learning this with you guys.
Live. So why would you want to speed this up? Because this could be really good.
Because it's taking so long and we have such a long discussion to get into. That's the only reason,
that's
baby.
True. That's true. So we go to Raising Cane's, and as we're eating, I'm still not like mentioning anything because I'm trying to think mentally, what the hell do I do? What do I say? How do I
approach the topic?
How do I sell it? And I thought to myself, okay, I just need to pretend like I got an email. So I'm deflecting all questions from the youngest who's most excited about this, about what might be there tonight, what we're going to do in the pit. And I'm like, it's gut wrenching. It's breaking
I
my
didn't know
heart
any of this.
Live time, because I'm like, oh my God, I have to lie to a kid to protect his mother who's deathly sick right now and still try to figure out how to get this evening going. So we get out to the parking lot, but right as we're getting into the car, I'm like, oh my God. I turned on the acting chops from 8th grade. Oh my God. What, James? I just got an email, guys. AJR is sick tonight.
They're not performing.
And they're not going to be able to perform. And here I am, like, ass clenched so tight because I have no idea what this kid's going to say. I don't know if he's going to buy it. This kid is notorious for having some meltdowns, and this one would be a meltdown of all meltdowns that I would actually understand, but I was going to have to face the brunt of it because I was there live. Thankfully, he said, oh, okay, well, that stinks. I said, how about we go to a jump park instead? So we went to a jump park for 90 minutes. Now, the blowback was he woke up the next morning very sad. It took us a couple days, and we still owe him AJR tickets for a makeup show. And they sent out a sweatshirt for all the fans who didn't get a chance to come to the concert. So
it's genius.
He thinks AJR sent him a sweatshirt as well, which arrived this week.
Yes, you did a great job with that.
So even though that took a long time to talk about, I think that is like kind of something that you just do for family. But as a stepdad, like, it was kind of a tough spot for me. But they're my sons, and I am just so thankful it was the youngest one because he doesn't have a real phone and he doesn't think to use his house iPad phone thing to Google anything like AJR sick. That would not have went very well.
No.
Instead, he uses it to play games. But yeah, that was the start of a week that just got crazy with sickness and all these other things. And holy shit.
Yeah. It is actually a good segue into our topic tonight. And this is going to be a true discussion style episode because we are trying to flesh this stuff out ourselves right now. Yeah, I was really sick. I got sick. I bring everything I have to in-person retreats and the women that I serve. And I'm still actually a little sick if you hear it in my voice. But you held it down and you handled it because we're a family and that's what we do. You continue to do it because I did have a procedure on Tuesday that had anesthesia, and anesthesia messes with me, guys. It just makes me like airheaded for sure. And I wasn't able to fully function last week, and it was just a really emotionally heavy, intense week, and a lot of like moments of like we're over our head in some areas. I feel confident that we can parent our kids, at least our bio kids, separately well, but I think that as step parents trying to figure out how to move as a unit, which is our vision, we hit some roadblocks last week and the week before that, really over the last weeks, I would say 3 weeks, with just recognizing like where we may have limits and we have to have boundaries and we have to have understandings, and it may not be as easy as maybe we thought it was because when we partnered, there wasn't so many hormones involved. Like, you know, a lot changed when our kids went to middle school, I feel. The other thing is I started going down the world of like stepmom TikTok, like stepmom talk and blended family talk. And that is like a whole new world of information. Some of it is like really helpful, but a lot of it is actually quite negative. Like it's a whole thing. So I've been kind of dipping my toe into the waters of that kind of conversation, and it's brought up a lot of different discussions for you and I.
One of those discussions, how are we doing this? How there's just so much going on. This would really should break up people and couples and relationships. But what is the glue?
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually reflecting on that this weekend, which is, I've been really committed partnered twice before. It's obvious, I divorced them, that we did not deal with internal conflict, any kind of conflict well. You and I are able to withstand not just conflict between you and I, which is actually, I think, the rarest form of conflict we have is between you and I, but the conflict that we have to face together as a team that is coming towards us from what feels like all angles.
Conflict presents itself in different layers and levels, like you said, but not all conflict is the same. And the conflict between you and I is what I attribute to new relationship. Really, we're still relatively young in relationship time-wise, which I know you say is just a construct of mine, but it's one that we've adapted in our reality, so we have to kind of use that. It's just been, we're relatively new, and just even knowing each other in a friendship-wise as well. So that conflict is pretty easy because we're getting to know each other, and it's not the kind of conflict that can bring people down. It would have brought us down already, I feel like, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean,
it would have presented itself when dating and things like that.
And we were kind of fleshing this out before the pod, and we were like, fuck it, we got to record. But we dropped into our relationship older with already existing children and agendas of what we wanted to do with our lives and how we wanted to raise our kids, that we just dropped in. You knew from the very beginning that I was like, I'm not fucking wasting my time. And you were like, I'm not dating anyone who I couldn't see as a mother figure for my kids. Yeah, me too. But I think that we had very similar ways that we parent that was easy. And then also our expectations that like we do not want to raise entitled boys. We want them to see women as equals. We want them to be functional members of society by the time that they enter society between 18 to 21 years old. And we have to give them responsibility and let them fail and help them along the way, but not do everything for them. So I feel like we had really similar shared values. We both are like have coach and pastoral backgrounds that like makes us leadership oriented, that I think that really helped us like stick together in the beginning. We think similarly, which is like take responsibility, initiate the change. No one's going to do it for you. Do it. Like we're just very similar in that way. So I definitely think that, yes, we are still green in the way that our relationship is just over a year old, but we have so much shared belief and value systems and even language because we both came from being pastors, that I think it really does make it feel like it's way longer than just over a year.
And we've totally talked about that before. It's been a year, but sometimes it feels like it's a decade at the same time.
Yeah, time is not real.
We've had so much, and just going back to what you said, yeah, we had really, before we met each other, we had pretty aligned visions on how we were going to navigate the waters of 2024, 2025 as people that are out of their old relationships.
Yeah.
So when we joined, that fusing together and melding and merging of households, we had a lot less of a learning curve there because there really wasn't one, because we had that shared alignment. We've worked through some systems and different conversations like that, but the overall mission statement and vision, like you said, of those pillars that you just discussed, of raising feminist sons, having responsible adults, etc. Those things are like gorilla fucking glue.
They are.
And this is when we said, okay, but I was starting to say in the living room, it makes me reflect back on how in the church and when I was in the religious world, that glue, it was never really about the two people. It was about the glue was supposed to be God.
Yeah.
The glue wasn't a compatibility between one another. It was a shared
Contract.
vision and alignment of contract to a God who was to be the glue.
Yes.
That only sticks while the surface it's attached to is adherent to it.
Yeah. So when you started deconstructing, your concept of a contract started to break.
Well, my concept of the concept of any kind of things broke down because it eroded away and revealed what actual bonds and lines that were formed that would hold. And the answer was not really hardly any of them. The ones that have held have been a somewhat shared vision to raise sons that are a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, there just wasn't anything left. So it was really interesting to reflect on just this concept of what is the glue for relationships? What is the glue not only for your relationship to you and a partner, but to your friends? What is the glue?
I thought that was, when you started talking about that, I was like, no, we just got to hit record. Let's go to the loft. It is really interesting. We also had this conversation this morning, like poor Jamie, about the idea of consciousness and what is reality. And I mean, it was like a very intense, expansive conversation at like 7 a.m.
To be fair, it was 7:17. No coffee.
Yeah.
No energy, caffeine of anything. I sit down on the couch and bam, consciousness. Hey, honey, let's talk about this light topic called consciousness.
I did not say it was light. We were talking about the astrology coming up this week because it is a big astrological week. And
Mercury retrograde.
Yeah. Starts
whoop, whoop.
on Sunday, the 9th. By the time you guys listen to this, it will have already started. So, but we were talking when we went on our walk after work about Christianity, how the Bible really sets you up to not have any concept of, because we were talking about past lives. We were talking about, like, how do you know your past lives or things like that. And we were talking about how the Bible doesn't really set you up for any kind of self-awareness. It really wants your awareness just focused on you are a hopeless sinner that needs the salvation of this God outside of you to make you whole. It doesn't really teach you to look within. We were talking about that and how Christianity is so codependent. It really feeds, Americanized Christianity, by the way. It really feeds this idea that everybody's got to believe in it for it to have power and for it to be real.
Yes. But also I want to go back to this concept of previous lives because you and I believe differently when it comes to that. I think this is my consciousness. This is my soul right here. This one.
I believe that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, and our consciousness is forever conscious and takes many, many different shapes and forms through various incarnations.
And the thing that we can both take from this is that in this lifetime, our souls have met and aligned, and we're going to make a run of this lifetime. For me, I believe that this is the run of my life. And for me, in your mind, I'm just hoping that I was one of the best runs of your lifetimes. Like, I want to be like the Drake's best I ever had.
Oh, man. I don't say Drake and best I ever had because I don't want to associate with Drake ever. But
okay, but that was a whole vibe during my youth pastor days.
Peak yep. Drake, yeah.
Kiki.
Oh, man. I know. Those were classics. There was old Drake that I'm like, man. It's been a theme that we've had over the last 2 days, I think, where we keep recognizing where we are having some differences that I don't think that we've been really aware of. But what we keep coming back to is like, it doesn't change the way I love you. It doesn't change the way that I want to spend my life with you. It doesn't change or make me think we're breaking up. And that's kind of what brought this conversation up, is recognizing that we are starting to hit some limits with co-parenting. We are starting to hit some limits with our belief systems. And for whatever reason, this is what brought up the entire discussion tonight, is we're like, yeah, but I fucking choose you. So easy. It's so easy, and it's so not hard for me to do that. That is not the thing that links us together. The thing that links us together is our bond and our love and our shared values, our shared vision. But ultimately, like, I think that part of what makes us work is that we have created such a deep, secure attachment that we can weather conflict from inside our home and outside our home and still lean into each other and be like, fuck everybody else. We got each other. We can fight. And I have never been in a relationship dynamic like this before. Have you?
Not to this kind of an extent. Most certainly. Definitely. Again, I like to kind of think as the prior go at things in several phases.
Yeah.
Early on, yeah, I could say I felt like that in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I
But
never did.
it never, it didn't last.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that my question would actually probably go more to an attachment conversation, which is an interesting dynamic to think about, which is like, when I'm like just having this epiphany right now. When I was a Christian and I believed that God was the glue and that, but then God, or God's got it, that I had such a more secure attachment, because I really did think like, we're never going to break up. We would never do that to God. We're good Christian folk. We don't get divorced. So I had a way more secure attachment to my first husband when I was steeped in Christianity than I did my second. And my second one was so saturated in my early sacred feminine rage that like, it's just a really interesting dynamic to think about.
There definitely was a security there with the common bond of Christianity, because again, when it came to divorce, that was not an option.
Mm-hmm.
You don't divorce someone. You work it out because it's God ordained.
Yeah.
It's God ordained, and He's blessed it. This
Triple cord is
you've
unbreakable.
made a vow that says through thick and thin and sickness and health and all of these things that you're going to do it. So there was this security there that said, well, this is my running partner. So we're gonna make it work, because obviously God's on our side. He's part of our relationship. He's who we're trying to honor.
Yeah. It's so interesting when you get to a place where you are like, I'm not really sure. You know, for you, I know you're like, there is no God and this is my one life. That is not how I think. So it is different for me, where I'm like, the universe heard me and I did the alignment work of not saying yes to things that I was unsure about. And you were the thing that I've been the most sure about. So this is the fruition of holding a vision and saying no to everything that didn't align.
That's really interesting, because for me, it is the aspect of I'm not relying on some other power or higher being to tell me what to do when I have an intuition that tells me otherwise.
Ooh, see, let's go deeper there, because I do not subscribe or believe that I am under any kind of God or divine prescription. I believe that I am co-creating. I believe I'm in relationship with an animating force, and I ultimately have free will to choose.
There's the difference, because you have the respect. I would agree with you on that, and I wouldn't have been implying that. I was just speaking as like for me and my next go at things was I am my God.
Me too.
Like, I don't have to be, but yeah, I just don't believe there's a partnership. You have a partnership with the earth, and that's where the mutual respect is. And so you don't have this, like, you don't answer to somebody else's calling because, like you said, you call it co-creating, I call it respect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we didn't respect God when we were Christians. Most Christians don't respect God. I think they fear God. I think sometimes they revere God.
Yeah. I guess that would bring it down to the conversation of like, were you actually in relationship with God? And that's why I absolutely love it when I ask people about their relationship with God and they're like, well, I'm in relationship with the Holy Spirit. And I'm like, that's the feminine face of God, bruh.
Or you could say I'm in a little bit of a love triangle between God and the Holy Spirit with Jesus who resides in me. So you could call it a love quadrant.
You're polyamorous.
I mean, Christianity, it was polyamory early days prior to it being
Polygamy. Yeah, because the women didn't get to interface with any of the others. Anyways, that's a different conversation.
Getting back to the creator, the respect conversation, like maybe pick it back up from there.
Bringing it back to where the conversation started was us being like, baby, what is our glue? You had a really close friend say something to you today that was like, this is the glue that keeps us together, but it's not the point. It's just the thing that we continue to do together that feels like glue. But under that is a deeper commitment, a deeper level of respect. So it got us on the conversation of like, what's the glue between us?
And that conversation, I mean, that's another thing that's been going on through some of podcasting, honestly. This friend, shout out Jason.
Yeah.
He and I go way back, but we've had some really honest conversations lately.
From that podcast.
From the podcast of doing some of the soul work and really kind of asking yourself, what do I want? And it's been so healthy because, yeah, we have a common glue, and that is our love of disc golf. We've done disc golf for a while. And it's so funny. There'll be times where I'll tell you like, hey, me and Jason want to play around. You'd be like, cool. You and I have had like maybe 5 or 6 things going on in my life and or your life that in your mind you would be telling a friend about, like when you went out and hung out with them, like that would be topics of conversation.
Yeah, with my friends that I have very few of, but I'm very choosy about. Yes.
Okay, but I'm the same way. I have very few friends, but what I'm getting at is I will go out sometimes and we will play, and it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I come back and you're like, hey, so how was it? I'm like, it was good. I shot this and he shot that. And
I cannot.
You'll be like, well, did you talk about anything else? And I'm like, no, not really.
Did you tell him all of these deep things that you're trying to process and you needed another man's insight? And you're like, no. And I'm like, oh my God, men.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but we're working on it.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited.
Getting a message, even just affirming that they listen to this and that it's being helpful, actually. You know, getting words of affirmation is really nice. But the point is that exactly that disc golf, or for in this instance, is just the glue, similar to our glue being this really strong bond of compatible vision and alignment.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many other things that stick to that make it the relationship that it is.
Yeah.
Where instead of defining the friendship as, well, this is my disc golf friend, the glue you don't usually see in a good glue job. You would never see it, in any kind of woodworking or anything. So it's attaching two stronger things together. So that is what you actually kind of see.
Talk carpenter to me, daddy.
Well, I have very limited experience in carpentry, but I do know that I don't even know what I know about carpentry, but the glue thing. Okay, let's get back to that. I'll bring up the wood glue later in the bedroom, baby.
No, I think that that is an interesting thing because as you say it out loud, and I'm just listening and reflecting on our relationship, the one thing that I think sets our relationship apart and why I call us soulmates, which is always a fun conversation between you and I. There's so many things that hold us together that feels beyond shared vision. There is like such deep love and adoration and respect and this deep sense of like, I do not want to imagine my world without you in it. You are the best choice that I've made. And I've never had that feeling before, which is how I know that you are my soulmate. But again, another conversation on that. You guys, please don't hear that you have to like find your like epic soulmate. What we're trying to talk about is like, what is the glue that keeps us together? So like it makes me think of some of my friendships when you talk about like disc golf is the glue, but what's the bigger thing? And it makes me think of a lot of my friends were once my students and they, evolved. They went through their transformations. There was some time after that. They came back and they became extremely close friends. To me, the bond that holds us together is our service to the divine feminine and raising collective consciousness. So that's like our shared language. That's like our shared things. But what keeps us together is I love their personalities. Like I love who they are and the way they enrich my life. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. And that is the crux of the episode. Where is the glue in your relationships, your romantic relationships, your work relationships? Because some of those are very personal.
Mm-hmm.
There's family businesses, and you got to keep this work relationship that's kind of funky and weird. It feels like have been in unsettling times for a while, but it is continuing to get more and more unsettling as the days go. And it's kind of scary. It's fucking scary. But what keeps us together is important during these times because there are going to be things that crack away at it.
Mm-hmm.
That's happened to me. I've realized that the glue that held together was no longer glue.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had to let some things kind of fizzle. Yeah. But we're not going to fizzle. No. Our friendships that we've identified are not going to fizzle.
No, I mean, and I think that a lot of that is deciding that what you have is worth fighting for.
And what that meant was kind of looking at everything in life and identifying what was important.
Yeah, what is worth fighting for?
What is, even though this construct of time, we are bound by it.
Mm-hmm.
So currency is scary right now in an economic recession, but time is always scary. Time is scarce because it's finite. Mm. It is a known 24 hours of one calendar day.
It's a construct, though.
Whatever. I don't disagree with you, but we still are bound by it even now because we record for X amount of minutes, whether that's a construct or not. It's a fact.
It is. Yes. I won't go on a soapbox about that.
We both agree that time is far more valuable than currency.
Yeah,
it is
can't
the most
get time
valuable,
back.
or you could say it's the most valuable currency.
Yes.
So how and what we choose to do and share life with that currency, that's a big thing.
Yeah, especially if you believe this is your one life.
Which I do.
Yeah,
that's why
I know. I've been thinking about that all day.
Kind of now, it's kind of giving me a revelation of maybe why I fucking care so much. Why I am so like invested in those.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do believe that.
Yeah.
I also believe in like karma and things like that. So this whole thought of reincarnation or coming, like, I still try to do the right thing, but I still, it's just the one time to me. So I really fucking care that I get it right. And I'm most thankful
so
that
much pressure to put on yourself.
it is, but I do feel like I do well under pressure.
Yeah, you do.
But
all the time, every waking moment, that's a lot of pressure.
Not every waking moment. Shit. I love to sit down and watch 3 hours of YouTube and do jack shit. That is not the best use of currency.
No.
But you also could argue that it's a great use of currency if that is the currency that is needed to recharge you in a way. But that's a whole nother conversation.
That is another conversation, yeah. At the end of the day, whether you believe in many lifetimes, if you believe in one lifetime, I think that if you live in a way that is devoted to something that you care about and is worth your time and your energy and your money, all 3 forms of currency, then you're probably going to live a life that is more meaningful. And when you add that in with a partner, I guess I just never really understood how picking your partner is like the most important part of your life until I met you. Like so many things would have been so different for me if I would have had a partner that was my partner. Like met me and things, wanted to hear what I had to say, loved being challenged, loved being asked to grow or see new insights, like how different my life would have been. And ultimately, I believe that this is cringe for everybody. God bless the broken road that led me straight to you.
Okay, rascal. But that's really an interesting phrase that you just said, or the way you worded it, how different you're. But I've said before, if we met at an earlier age, neither of us wouldn't have worked. So you wonder what your life would have been like, but I hope you don't wonder too much about it because I'm so thankful we met when we did.
No, for sure. And I mean, I think that conversations about time and consciousness and all that, we can talk about that forever, obviously. But more of what I want to be able to wrap up with tonight is, we always invite you guys to our active discussions. That's why it's called Joint Discussions, is that we realized we had these really cool, deep, insightful conversations when we'd get high and just shoot the shit together. That's why we built this whole thing. The more that we've done this, the more we've had people reach out and be like, I'm in the same place. I'm in the same place. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for just talking about this. But I've also had people asking, like, what do you do? What does this look like? And I think that for application purposes, if you find yourself in a place of testing whether a relationship has glue, and under that glue is purpose or something that you're devoted to, I really think it just boils down to, in conflict, do you recognize the ability to lean in and fight for things together? Or do you recognize that you tend to lean out and try to do things individually as separate people?
And I can tell you from personal experience, leaning out is a headache and a lot more work. And honestly, it's not healthy, so it's not going to be really sustainable. So you really should lean in. I am really excited as we do wrap up for this week. Next week, we have a very special episode. It is going to be our first interview episode.
Yeah. And we tried to do it with all 3 of us, which was an interesting experiment.
We did. But we're really excited to have the guest that we have next week. I don't want to spoil anything. So just know that we have a guest. It's a good conversation. It gets a lot into deconstruction of faith and high control and all of the juicy stuff that we kind of started on. So we're excited for you to hear that person's story and background. And if you're interested in kind of wanting to collaborate, feel like you might have
a story,
that's what Joint Discussions is, like Lauren said. So reach out to us. You can find us on all of the socials.
Yeah. Look us up under @JointDiscussionsPod. We are literally on every social media platform, including Patreon. You can always join us, and there is even a free option too.
Also, you can send us an email, jointdiscussionspod@gmail.com. Some people are like, email writers need a little.
Please hear us on this. We're trying to build a community, and we want to hear, because discussion is so much about, having different topics that we haven't thought of yet. So your opinions, your questions, your stories are truly important to us, because we're not necessarily here just to share our shit. It is also to invite you into the conversation and to continue to help expand these conversations for people that are also in the midst of some sort of deconstruction or divorce or some sort of major transformational period of their lives.
Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Check us out next week. Lucky number episode 13.
Whoop, whoop.
Until then.
Ciao.